Hey, good morning. This is Saturday morning with George and Phil, here to help you become the best version of yourself. Whether you found yourself out of shape, struggling in a dead end job, or job transition, we're your hosts, George Murray and Lenny Newman, pinch hitting for Phil Connor while he's away, to help you move from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. We're glad you could join us this morning. We do encourage questions in the chat, and we will try to answer them as they come up. George, nice to see you this morning, buddy.
Hey, good morning. The second show of the year, and we kind of delayed the topic. But first, I want to tell the viewers that we're streaming from LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and Facebook Live. So if you're watching us on YouTube Live, hit the subscribe so that you can get updates on future shows. We also want to be able to thank our sponsors, Thrivent. The folks at Thrivent, as well as Skip, have been helping folks in career transition and their overall financial needs for over 10 years now here in the local Minnesota, but also around the globe. And this week, they're talking about a transition budget, and I can tell you that was actually part of my first chapter is, first year of career transition is evaluating your current financial situation. So reach out. You can actually take your phone, scroll over that little bottom right-hand scan, and set a free consultation with Skip. I can tell you, you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, thanks to Skip and Thrivent for all they do. George, this morning, believe it or not, we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions. I'm just amazed, George. We're really doing this, huh? We're really doing it.
No, actually, it's kind of the pun, right? I mean, how many people actually fully succeed a year with their achievements of their New Year's resolution? As a matter of fact, this past Friday, it was actually termed Blue Monday. So by then, I think it's the 19th or whatever the day is that over 75% of people have already given up on their resolution. So for me, I've actually given up resolutions 5 years ago. I've actually really just committed goals, right? What am I going to achieve? And it's always the critical few versus the mass many. So, whether people want to get in shape, actually, after the day after Blue Monday, people actually start to look at, hey, looking in the mirror, what do I need to do? Am I feeling tired? Do I look run down? So that's kind of the topic of the show today.
Yeah, I hear you, George. I think I'm like you. I haven't really, for several years, made resolutions per se. I have a standing one, which is always try to stay in shape or get in better shape. That seems to be a standing. But there is one goal that I set for myself this year, and I'm pleased so far I'm right on track. I wanted to read no fewer than 2 books a month. So 25 books a year. That's my goal. And right now I'm tracking, actually, I'm ahead. So that's I just enjoy reading. So that's my goal.
No, you know what? That's a great one because ironically enough, I did that one last year and I actually did 20 books. And this year, my goal is to do well more than 30 books. And I think as of yesterday, I finished my 4th book of the month. It's actually Hook Point. Great book for anybody. But that's not the topic. We're here to talk about, getting better, right? Whether it's sleeping, eating, just feeling better, especially with this last year and a half.
George, is there anybody at all that maybe we could invite in that might have some advice on several of those topics? What do you think?
Of course. I mean,
Hey.
we're the network guys, right? So, I want to welcome the show Terry Matson. Terry is a certified health and wellness coach. She's corporate wellness, motivational speaker. I've had the pleasure of seeing and being a part of Terry's posse, so to speak. And she's been helping corporations and individuals help with their health and their overall wellness. So welcome, Terry.
This is great. What a timely topic for all of us, trying to get ourselves and identify those resolutions. And 75%, I thought it was a little higher than that, of people who walk away from their resolution. So this is extremely.
You would know.
Yeah, extremely timely. So thanks for having me, guys.
Terry, welcome. It's great to have you on this morning. Given the past 12 to 24 months, companies and individuals have been changing, their priorities for the new year. In terms of goal setting resolutions, could you comment just a little bit on that for us, Terry?
Right. The past 2 years have been really tough, 18 months, past 2 years, and people are thinking more about how they're going to move on, find comfort, live with more joy and peace. The resolution idea has lost its zest now. The idea of looking for immediate change has moved on. So I ask people, how are you going to do that? How are you going to take advantage of your past experiences? It's not about the immediate, but it's about the long term. So more and more we're realizing it's time for self-care and some reflection.
What are some of the mistakes our viewers can avoid jumping into when they're setting their goals for the year or what have you?
They've been name their peace and happiness, talk with somebody to help them break things into small, doable actions. Remember that they're different, you're different from everybody else, and there's no mold that fits everybody's lifestyle. So we just have to figure out where you are right now, where you want to go, and bite it off one small bite at a time. Let go of the lofty changes. To your point of going to the gym and whatnot, we got to meet people where they are and help them move forward.
Wow, Terry, that's great. One other thing that I'm curious about, can you give the viewers maybe 2 or 3, shall I say, important things as we head into 2022? We're now more than halfway through the first month, to focus on, the year at hand, so to speak.
Well, probably the biggest key is to think back about what's happened over the past 2 years. Separate that out of how you've behaved and handled things in the past. For every resolution, you have to understand that there's a solution, and focus on that more than, the words alone don't really mean much without the solution behind it. So I know we're getting into this more and more further in the interview, but the sleep, the eat, the moving the body, all these things are key for companies. The retention, the giving their employees something to look forward to talk about, to represent outside of being in the office, all key and important topics and in areas to improve.
Hey, Terry, I know that given this whole last couple of years of the Great Resignation, et cetera, what are organizations seeking you out for in order for us to turn around and potentially help reverse that turnstile?
Usually they're looking for me to come in and educate and help relationship build, which is key with the retention. If you feel like you've got a work family, you feel like you're going to stay. So I'm that go-to accountability person that gives them something exciting and something else to think about and talk about. Gives them some other topic, if you will. The water cooler conversation becomes, hey, did you do that challenge? Did you make it to the meeting? What did you take away from that? Where it's a positive conversation. So they like to bring me in to help. I would have to say, if I were going to key in, and it would be the relationship building mostly, because that ups your productivity level, that ups how people look at the company, how they represent their company, and they are your walking billboards. So basically, I want to go and help them lift up the spirits of their company and get their people healthy. I don't know if we want to delve into the insurance issues of a healthier workforce. That there's a bottom line on that as well.
Sure. Terry, just out of curiosity, I think about, all the challenges and some of the topics you just mentioned. Just out of curiosity, where does sleep fit in to all these various things? Because I think that's a fairly critical one.
Absolutely. Sleep is huge. Oh gosh, where to even begin? All right, sleep.
Let me ask this. I'll tee it up a little differently. What's the minimum amount of sleep a 50 or 60-year-old individual should have who's working a full-time job? Let's tee it up that way.
Perfect. Between 6.5 and 7 hours is usually what's been recommended. Research supports that is really what's going to help you get the most out of your day. So in order to get that kind of sleep, there's a couple of tips to get you there. Set that bedtime schedule.
Yeah.
don't go to bed hungry or stuffed. So make sure you stop eating a couple hours before you go to bed, because your body's busy working, breaking that down, and you want it to rest, not work. Um, let's see, pay attention to what you're drinking. A restful environment is key. Keeping that blue light down, having that routine, making sure, this is kind of difficult for some people because nobody wants to be cold or uncomfortable, but research shows that your bedroom should be set between 60 and 67 degrees. So 65 is probably 64, 65 is probably going to give you the best sleep quality, where you'll stay in REM a little bit longer. I know I don't like to be cold. So for me, thinking about turning my room down to be that cold, but it really does make a difference. It really does help. And, manage your worries. And if you can't manage your worries, maybe it's time to seek out a guide or a coach that helps you sort those out and get rid of those demons and those inner critics that just kind of run rampant after you lay yourself down. So,
well, there's two things I heard in that I need to think through. One is the regular routine / 7 hours a night, and the other thing is the temperature. That's a great fact for me, because I have a tendency to want to sleep where it's warmer as opposed to in that mid 60 range. So thanks for sharing that.
Hey, Terry, what about viewers that, maybe have not been exercising, et cetera, for a while? Like for me, I mean, in October, I got into a motorcycle accident and I've been out of commission and I want to get back into things. So what do you suggest are some of the steps so that I'm actually getting in a rhythm, but I don't get discouraged after a few weeks?
Absolutely. Well, number one, always remember, do not put yourself up against someone else's standards. You are an individual. We all move at a different rate and a different pace, but it is important to get started, to get ready. I always encourage people to have those workout clothes, whatever that means to you, ready to go, so that if workout time is in the morning, have them sitting right there in your bedroom, in your bathroom, and there it is. It's ready to put on. That's half of it. And just don't do too much. That's what happens with these big resolutions. They're not a solution. They're a commitment to outlandish ideas. So start small. Start where you are. If you are not, I know, George, you were a walker and you put yourself into becoming a runner. So perfect. Start small. Get out there and walk a little bit. It's a little bit chilly, so be sure and dress for the weather. Layer up, layers, so that if you do get a little warm, you can remove some things. But the best thing is set a timer. If you're going to go out for a walk, everybody has a smartphone. Set it for 5 minutes. When the alarm goes off, turn around and come back. It takes the anxiety. Yeah, well, then you're not wondering, how far did I go? How far did I go? How far do I have to get back? 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back, and increase that as you go. But don't. So many people start out thinking, I'm gonna run a mile. Well, if you haven't been walking, much less running, a mile is a very long way, and then you set yourself up for disappointment. So it's the little mini wins in that regard. If you're not doing sit-ups and you want to work on that, or you want to work on push-ups, something like that, set yourself up to, I'm going to do one every day, and try for that too. And then,
as a matter of fact, Phil actually did what was it? One of those up-down challenges. I don't know what they call them, but he did one every day, and kind of by the end of the month, he was doing 30. He's like, I would have never thought I could have done one.
Absolutely, absolutely right. That, and like planks are hard. So you set, a small limit of time of how long you're going to hold it. You do it every day, and you just get a little bit stronger every day, and you're able to move forward. And that's where you start to feel that winning sensation. And probably one of the biggest tips on that is, when you accomplish that one sit-up, stop and think about it and rejoice and find the joy in that, and tell yourself, way to go, good job. So that the next day you remember how good that felt. And, and then you've won. And then when you get to do 2, stop and think about it. We're so good at beating ourselves up. We have to be just as good at giving ourselves the pats on the back.
Terry, I see there's a question that's come in. Michael's asked, You're talking a lot about physical health. Could you just comment briefly on mental health?
Which is huge. These last 2 years have really taught us that we need to take better attention, take better care of how we think, what we consume. And when I say that, I mean, what you're listening to on the TV and the radio, what kind of conversations you get in with other people. You are most like 5 people that you spend most of your time with. And so if the people or what you're spending your conversational time with is negative, you're going to be negative. So in the mental health world, it is important to realize that we need help. We need to talk to somebody. And if you've got that negative thing running around in your head wild, it might be time to think about chatting with somebody and helping get it out. If you're just working it on yourself, I think sometimes it's helpful to write it down and get it out. And then if you need more, it's like everything else. It's small bites until you feel that win and get where you need to be. But you have to start someplace. And a lot of times it is seeking out just a guide, a coach to help you walk into the next step.
But your key point there is shed a lot of the negativism. There's so much negativism. And I've gotten in the point of when I get into conversations and I see it might be going that direction, I'll just say, this isn't a judgment zone. This is just we're just having a conversation with friends. Just try to keep it really neutral to positive.
Yeah, because the only Eeyore we want to talk about is the one on.
Well, guys, good point, because you know what? When push comes to shove it all comes up to a point. You are in control of you. You do not have to engage in a conversation that does not lift your spirits or does it. It's okay to have some conversation and see the other side, but you are not obligated to spend 5, 10, 15, an hour in swirling around in negativism. And, you just have to say, to your point, Lenny, no judgment zone, or you know what, I've got to take off. I've got a meeting or an appointment. Or my favorite is to turn the conversation. Oh, you know what? I was just thinking about your brother. How's he doing?
Pivot. Yep. Make a pivot. Just change. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if I could show you my board, I have this checklist every morning. It's like, okay, meditate, work out, motivational speaking, listen to Darren Daily, to kind of get a jolt for the day.
Yeah.
And then it just carries you all the way through. I mean, this is part of what I talk about in my book is just setting your day. Right. And if you're not setting your day is setting you.
Oh, George, right on, point on. I read your book and people need to do that more often. They can't let their day control them. And with what we've been through in these past 2 years, people are letting that happen. They're letting the negativism and the overwhelmed about how things didn't go right. They're letting that take over. And we've got to get beyond that and set the day with intention, to your point.
Hey, Terry, so let me ask you a question. The people, the companies and organizations you work for, what are some of the transformations you've seen, kind of like people taking your course or whatever, 90 days, 180 days?
Well, we go through a lot of different things. There's obviously there's always a weight loss program. That's not usually what I walk in for. But the takeaways are just learning how to live a little healthier. We always open up those first few weeks with nutrition, making good choices, eating the rainbow, and just helping people understand what it's like to eat fresh and get away from the packaged and understand the labels, understand what's going in their mouth. And then we move into the physical health. And I've done, couch to 5Ks with groups, but it's just helping people understand how they can move their body. And then we move into the emotional part of what's going on. People don't always know that there is help inside of their office that they can go to and get assistance with, mental health issues or counseling if there's an emergency or something in the family. So really, companies get that relationship built. It goes in stronger. It gets their employees to really do some changing and some growth and personal development. And again, a healthy employee is a happy employee. And
and productive.
The productivity level goes up because now they feel like they belong and they're part of their work environment. They're not working for, they're working with. And so they take some responsibility for how things are going, which means they want the company to do better. They want things to go well. So you see the loyalty increase, the sick days, the late days decrease, and just the overall attitude of who's attending the group and how it resonates with the rest of the office who's not in the group.
George, any final questions from you, my friend?
Yeah, me, I would say the last question, because again, the show goes so fast. Talk about this probably for another at least half hour. Is, tell us a little bit about your 12-week program. If I'm in that situation where, 3 or 4 months I haven't, or even more, tell me about that 12-week program. What can I expect, and a little bit more about that.
So if you're doing work with me in life coaching, it's different for everyone because it depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about in this situation, because of this group, if we're talking about job transition, we start out identifying what's going on, what your 2 biggest issues are, why you think it's not working out, what you've tried in the past. And then we discuss what's going on in your life and how you can move forward. And that gentle introduction of how you're going to embrace your next, to your point of just walking away or getting fired. I always hate that's such a sensitive word for so many people, so I hate to say it, but whether you leave, you get outsourced, whatever the position is, you need to be able to open your mind and embrace the future. And some people just need a little bit of guidance to help them understand where they're going and how to be happy about it and how to turn those thoughts around. And George, I saw some of that in your book too, where you talk about how you just need to turn around what you're thinking. And so for those of us who aren't able to do that on our own, that's where the 12-week coaching comes in, because it takes at least 12 weeks to develop the relationship and understand where you're coming from and where you want to go, and help set up the steps to get you to arrive at where you want to be. And then if we want to go further on with coaching or just keep checking in once a month, that's optional as well. But by the time we get to that end of those 12 weeks, you're feeling pretty good about where you are and you have a good idea about the direction that you're going in.
Well, Terry, I want to say thank you very much. This has been a great conversation. As George mentioned, these always go way too fast. Appreciate you jumping in and joining me and George in an effort to help all of us get better. Hope you have a wonderful, happy, healthy New Year, and we'll look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thanks again. Thanks so much. Wellness is an important topic. So thanks for having me and opening that door up to your audience.
Thanks, Terry. Great conversation.
Well, Eddie, what do we, first I want, absolutely. I mean, it's timely, right? Because again, absolutely. I've noticed a lot of people actually wait a couple weeks before they actually start their goals for the year because they don't want to be that person in the gym or et cetera, right? Want to thank Terry for joining us today. I've known Terry for at least 5 years and worked with her, helped me get on a program. If your organization is really looking for better ways to engage workforces, getting your team, even in a hybrid situation, or personally, I suggest you reach out to Terry, and here's her contact information. She's on LinkedIn, her website. You won't be disappointed in the results.
Excellent. Well, George, believe it or not, it's time to talk about our next show. Two weeks from now. Next episode, February 5th. As I like to say, same time, same George and Phil channel. This one's going to be, what is your story? And I know I've had a number of people ask me this over the course of the last several years. Do you have a book in you? And I think that'll be a very, very timely conversation because I know George, a lot of people that have written books, and there's a circle of people, and I think everybody always has the same question. Do you have a book in you? Tune in.
Yeah, I believe that everybody has at least one book in them. And this particular show will actually help you follow the process. Where do I go? Where do I start? How do I name my book, etc. So definitely. And then a month from this month, we're actually going to start off a 12-part series. And to your point, I'm about 2 weeks away from sending my second book to my editor. And so this book is really about leadership, or excuse me, in leadership engagement, right? So we're going to go over 12 of the chapters. As you can see, each day is already plugged in. We're also going to have exceptional special guests to talk about the subject to help you, whether you're a business owner or a leader that's struggling to get engagement. How do you get that back in? So the book itself is going to answer 3 questions. First, if I have a leader or a team that's not engaged, how do I get them back engaged, really focused on what's important? More importantly, as a leader, how do I get engaged with them to really drive profitability and sales growth, as well as overall engagement? The second question it's going to answer is that if I'm taking a new role, and one of the things in the interviewing process is that, hey, you know what? We have some engagement challenges. How do I start off on the right foot? And then the final question it's going to answer this book is that, hey, we're doing some good things, but we still have to get to the next level of engagement. What does that look like? And for the folks on listening today, I've actually had the opportunity to already interview well over 40 CFOs, CEOs, and CHROs. And so I'm really excited about this book, and we're going to kick it off next month with the big disconnect.
So, George, what I hear is you've got not only one book in you, but you got another book in you, and we can all look forward to learning more about it. So,
absolutely.
Until next time, have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing your coffee with George and yours truly. Remember to achieve forward and
get better.
Bye for now.